Hello and welcome to episode 117 of Mark Talks About Things. Today I was planning on talking about Stanley Kubrick movies and ranking them and talking about all the 13 or 17, depending on your point of view, movies that Stanley Kubrick had made. But I've had to put pause on that for a minute and just talk about something that's pertinent and relevant to the channel, which is that I had a comment which said, again with the politics. Well, I only mention politics when it's relevant to either the song or the album or the social circumstances surrounding that. I don't like talking about politics on the channel. I don't intend to do that very often. But if I'm going to be talking about a Pet Shop Boys song called I'm With Stupid that Neil Tennant has said is specifically and explicitly about the relationship between the Prime Minister and the President, it would be relevant and right for me to mention it. And that is why I occasionally mention politics on here. I try not to make my political views known, and as you've probably noticed, I've probably mentioned it for about 2 minutes every 6 months on this channel. I'm painting my political views very firmly to the mast with my t-shirt today. And I have strong opinions about the Prime Minister. I have strong opinions about the President. I have a strong interest in the shape of the world economically in the future because I'm going to be spending the rest of my life living there, and so are you. It is a privilege to be able to say that you don't have political views or you're not interested in politics. However, I have learnt the hard way as a child that politics was very, very important. Political decisions and economic decisions define where we live, who we live with, the circumstances in our lives, whether we can afford food, which beds we sleep in, which schools we go to, which colleges we go to, which jobs we get, whether we get to go into politics or not. And bearing in mind that something like, the last 6 prime ministers of the United Kingdom have come from one school alone, Eton College. So it defines whether you get to run the country. And I have strong opinions about things like that. I don't necessarily want to mention them on this channel. I'd rather talk about music I love and films and things that excite me and inspire me, rather than me constantly going, can you believe that thing that guy has done? I mean, geez, really? There are other people that do politics stuff far better and far funnier than I could ever do it. However, if I'm going to be talking about the Pet Shop Boys song I'm With Stupid or the Roger Waters album Is This the Life We Really Want, it is going to be relevant for me to talk about politics, because let's not forget that the song Picture That on this particular Roger Waters album has the lyric, picture a leader with no fucking brains. And then lots and lots of quotes from Donald Trump speeches. And even when you look at the sleeve art for this, it says CIA, Mistress Liberty. If it becomes relevant, I'll mention it, and if it isn't, I won't. And I don't want to, because it's not very interesting, to be honest. I spend quite a lot of bandwidth away from the channel thinking about things like politics and the future, because it is relevant. The other thing is if you are a fan of Pet Shop Boys, if you're a fan of Roger Waters, if you're a fan of other artists such as the Manic Street Preachers that are explicitly political in their lyrics, don't be surprised if people then talk about them when they then talk about the records or the albums or anything like that. It's a basic. It's like if you like the Jam and you happen to be Dave Cameron, did you not read the lyrics to Eton Rifles? Did you not read the lyrics to, the Smith songs when you were younger? Why were you not paying attention to this stuff? And by the way, when I get to talking about Depeche Mode, and I talk about Construction Time Again, which is quite a political manifesto with drum machines, or for example, when I talk about the Spirit album, which came out in 2017, that's quite political as well, and I'm going to be mentioning politics when I get to that point. But please, if you don't like me talking about politics for about 3 minutes every 6 months, just don't watch the channel, or skip a couple of minutes when I do, because I'm not going to lie about who I am. I'm not going to pretend to be anything that I'm not, and I'm certainly not going to take any flack off any anonymous stranger on the internet that doesn't like me occasionally mentioning the world outside the screen, because the world outside the screen is where I spend almost all of my life. It's a very, very important part of our lives. Political decisions will influence where we live. It will influence the actions that humanity takes about climate change. It will influence the decisions that humanity will be taking as a species for the rest of our lives around things like the food chains, around global warming, around rising sea levels, around whether we live or whether we die or whether we survive, and about whether we are going to make it through the end of the COVID pandemic or not, and how it's going to work. And I have very strong opinions about those things, and I think it's important to have opinions about the world, because otherwise you shouldn't care about the world that you live in. I care about the world I live in. I care about my other human beings, and I shouldn't have to find it difficult to explain to somebody why you should care about other people. Now, with all that, I'm not going to get too bothered about this. I'm just going to say occasionally I'll mention politics, and I will not lie about my politics or my political beliefs. I don't want to do it too often, and I don't want to have to point out the blatantly obvious fact that this is my channel, it's my content, it's my decision around what I say, and my responsibility about what I say. And if I want to mention politics occasionally, when it's relevant to talking about the album or the socio-economic political environment that the records were made in, then it's relevant to talk about at that point. Okay, there are other people, political pundits, who are probably far better, far funnier, and probably have far more interest in talking about politics, and standing there going, can you believe the guy that did the thing and it's awful and oh my god, it's and let them do that. I'll just mention it when it becomes relevant from time to time. It's not going to be a regular feature of this channel, but at the same point, if I end up talking about Roger Waters, if this is the life we really want, I'm not going to sit around and go, no idea what's going on. Same thing, if you like Pet Shop Boys, if you like Roger Waters, if you like the Smiths, if you like U2, don't be surprised about politics. It's part of who they are as artists. And that's the thing about art, is art is designed to communicate thoughts and ideas and feelings and emotions to other human beings, and to help illuminate us through the world. And some political parties absolutely hate art because they would rather have entertainment which doesn't require us to think or to feel. They'd rather us be pitching ourselves in battles between two imaginary factions based upon which town or city or country we happen to be in, as opposed to thinking about how the world works. The whole point of art is for human beings to communicate with each other and to illuminate each other and to talk about things that inform what it's like to be alive on the planet as a human being at this point in time. And art that doesn't do that isn't, in my opinion, particularly successful. It doesn't achieve its aim. And the earth without art is just eh. So, with that in mind, I am going to mention politics occasionally. I really don't want to mention it too often. I don't want to have to do this again where I have to tell you that I'm going to talk about politics occasionally when I talk about records that were made on the planet, because the world is a political environment. Politics decides where we live, where we sleep, what we eat, which schools we go to, where we work, who we see, who we spend the rest of our lives with, if we get to be prime ministers or presidents, how much money we've got, if we die poor or if we die rich. Politics decides all of that stuff. It's incredibly important to the world. However, sometimes you really do just need an absolutely brilliant song to listen to, and that is what I'm going to try and focus on in all my future episodes. But if you don't like me talking about politics for 2 minutes every 6 months or so, don't come to this channel. And if you are, don't complain about it. I have told you I am not going to lie about who I am or what my beliefs are or anything about that at all. I grew up poor, and I grew up missing meals, and that was a result of political decisions that were made by people that I never met. And that is why I care about politics. And I shouldn't have to explain to anybody why we have to care about politics or why we have to care about other people. Well, that's about it, really. Occasionally, I'm going to talk about politics when it becomes relevant. But that's not going to be the main aim of this, and I'm not going to plan on doing it with any regularity whatsoever. But it's my channel. I'll say what I like. It's my responsibility, and it's a reflection of me and who I am. And if you don't like me talking about politics, don't watch, okay? Because occasionally it's going to happen. Not often, but occasionally. Yeah. And if you are going to moan about it, you're just like the people that go to a U2 show and boo when Bono does one of his speeches. And I'd be like, dude, were you not paying attention? Were you not listening to the lyrics? Were you not looking at what was going on around you? Probably not. And if you aren't, what a luxury. I'm kind of jealous. But at the same point, I'm not. Right, that's about 11 minutes. I'm going to stop here. In short, I'll talk about politics occasionally. I won't make it a regular feature. But if I do, that's my business. And I'm not going to put up with any bullcrap in any of the comments from anybody about that. I'm going to take a zero tolerance approach to that. I'm not one of these people spewing conspiracy theories or things about, aliens or replacement theories or, weird pizza conspiracies or any of that. Just occasionally I'm going to have to take my head out of talking about music and talk about the world we actually live in, because that world and the political decisions that are made now and have been made in the past are going to define the rest of our futures, and it's important. And that is that. Right. Be nice in the comments, and if you're not, I've got a blog function. See you later. Bye.